Right, I'm going to show you how to join up your knitting on a knitting loom, and I'm just going to show you a few stitches just to get you into the way of it so you get your overall idea. Okay, first of all I'm going to pick up the long loops along the side of the knitting, so that's the bigger ones you can see, because it looks like all the way up the side of the knitting it looks like a loop and a knot, loop and knot. So I'm going to pick up and hang just these long loops onto the pegs. Okay, nice and easy to pick up, should be no problems finding them, says she, and hanging them onto the pegs. Make sure you don't split the wool. And I'm just going to show you about the first 10, because you can always spin back the video and have another look if you want to see the idea again. If you're familiar with machine knitting and you've done the figure of 8 graft, then some of this will already be familiar to you. If you're a hand knitter and you've done 3 needle cast off, say, it's not exactly the same as that, but the principle behind it of knitting off loops and then casting off is basically the same. So hopefully if you've done either of those things, then this should be not so new to you. You may have already thought of it yourself, you never know. Right, okay, so that's my first side. This is the right side of the knitting and this is a sleeve. So I'm going to pick up the other side, and again I've left the loops up a little bit so that you can see, if I hold those up you can see sort of the loops along the edge sticking up, because I've already pulled those out so you can see them. Okay, so like that. That again, long loops only. Sun keeps going in on me, so I keep suddenly finding myself in the dark. Right, okay, so there's the bottom row of stitches from one side of the knitting and the top row of stitches from the other. And now what I'm going to do, I just adjust the angle so you can see a bit better. I'm going to take the bottom loops and just knit them off. Then I'm just going to take my wool and do a cast off like I would normally do for the knitting loom. If you've not done one of these before, it's wool round the second peg, lift the lower stitch over, take the stitch off the peg, put it on the previous peg, knit the lower loop over. Oops, not both of them together though. Right, try that again, there we go, and then put the loop onto the peg, knit the next peg, lower loop over, stitch onto the previous peg, knit the lower loop over, put the stitch back on the peg, Give it a bit of a tug each time so that it doesn't tighten up too much. Lower loop over, previous peg, lower loop over, stitch back on peg. Knit next peg, lower loop over, stitch on previous peg, lower loop over, stitch back on peg. Knit next peg, lower loop over, stitch on previous peg, lower loop over, stitch back on peg, and so on all along the row. I think this is better than sewing up. I don't really like sitting there with needle and thread and stitching. I'd much rather do it this way, but I also think the seam's neater, which I'm hoping to show you in a minute. Well, there's the last stitch now. Or last stitch in this sample. Obviously I've got a lot more work to do, but I'm hoping to show you this is going to be really neat. So I'm just going to tuck that thread through that loop just to hold it, and then I'm going to show you that's your finished seam, which I think I might have picked up a wrong stitch there, which has made it look a little bit wonky, but generally speaking, if you do it correctly, if you can imagine that going all the way up there, it's a nice straight seam, and on the back you see that's quite nice in there. Okay, that's all for now. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, I have a channel on patreon.com, and if you wish to support me in the production of these videos, you can do so for $1 a month on patreon.com, and then that will enable to make more videos of the same type. So I'm going to be concentrating mainly on hand knitting and loom knitting for now. I have got some machine knitting ones up there at the moment, and a few crochet I think, but I'm generally going to concentrate on my loom knitting and hand knitting because that seems to be what I'm doing the most of at the moment. So bye for now, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you. Bye.